Most people come in and they say, "Oh, thank goodness you chill your red." Then they're like a secret. They say, "I chill mine at home too." Like it's some secret that they have to keep. Not 38 degrees out of your kitchen for
Right.
So that is very unique to us.
Howdy, Vine Trippers. I wanted to take just a moment before the show begins to tell you a little bit about the Texas Wine Lover website and app. It is a definite must-have for anyone wanting to explore the Texas wine industry. Now, they have a website. It's txwinelover.com, but they also have an app that you can actually download to your phone. You can find it on the Apple App Store or on the Google Play Store for Android devices. And it's going to be kind of your one-stop shop for when you go out to visit these great places. So you get to listen to them here on the podcast or watch them on YouTube to learn about these wineries. But when you go to visit, make sure you're checking out that app, because I'm sure you're probably going to want to visit other places in the area as well. And you can do incredible searches. It's the most comprehensive listing of winery information in Texas. And you can look for wineries in your area to go visit multiple places. You can sort those listings by finding out ones that are kid-friendly, maybe some that are pet-friendly. If you want to look for events or things that are going on, if you want to find those that can host RVs, just about any category you can think of, you can actually sort those listings and find wineries around you to go visit. The app is free to use for you and I. So it's a perfect, again, hand-in-hand tool when you're going out to visit wineries. Listen to them on this podcast, watch them on YouTube, and then start making your plans to go visit and use the Texas Wine Lover app when you go. Now, it can also be a great tool. Maybe you're not even looking for a winery. You just happen to be traveling to some place in Texas, and you just might think, I've got a little extra time. I wonder if there are any wineries in the area. You can actually look them up in the Texas Wine Lover app. You can search either by the name of a winery, or it's got a map view. So you can actually pull up a map of the area around you and see locations of wineries near you and go visit them and support the Texas wine industry. So you got to use the Texas Wine Lover app. It goes perfectly with this podcast. So make sure you check it out before you go on your next trip among the vines. Again, it's www.txwinelover.com, or look up the Texas Wine Lover app on your favorite phone app store and make sure you get that downloaded and use it frequently. You will benefit from it, and ask for Texas wines. Let's see the Texas wine industry prosper and go visit some of these fun places that I'm bringing to you on the show. Texas Under Vine, an exploratory podcast to scout out the best that Texas wine country has to offer. I'm your wine guide, Scott, and I'm here to lead you on an auditory expedition to the vineyards and wineries across the great Lone Star State. Each episode will cover a different vineyard, winery, or wine-related business operating in Texas. You'll hear interviews, descriptions, and details about each location that will excite you to visit and experience them for yourself. Ready to plan a wine tour? Use these episodes to choose the most interesting spots for you and your friends to check out. Most of all, enjoy hearing about the rapidly growing wine industry in the state and what makes our wines and wineries the best. Howdy, fellow Vine Tripper. Welcome to episode 78 for the Texas Under Vine podcast. So before we get into the episode itself, did want to cover a few event things that I have coming up. So don't forget the Austin Wine Week event. If you're in the Austin area or want to head down here for this event, really exciting opportunity. Check out my YouTube channel to see a quick little preview that I gave of that with the interview with the founder, Amanda Layden. And there's 3 big events for this inaugural Austin Wine Week at the end of April. There's a Sip Texas event that's going to occur at Wanderlust Wine Company on Shady Lane on Sunday, April 26th. And then there's a couple of more events, a ladies' wine dinner and a happy hour. So it's going to be really cool. You need to go check out those events, austinwineweek.com, and look for me there. I hope to see some of y'all out there at some of those events. Say hi, and we're going to enjoy some great wine together. And then after that, the following weekend is going to be the Texas Wine Auction, which is going to be at the Carter Creek Resort and Spa, the winery there. And I've done an episode there as well. So be looking for that episode if you're wanting to learn more about Carter Creek. But the Texas Wine Auction is a grand event. They're expanding it this year to do a concert on Friday night. And then the actual big tasting event is going to be on Saturday evening with the auction. That auction goes to a great cause. So just know that with every sip that you take at the Texas Wine Auction, a portion of the proceeds is going back to mental health and community wellness initiatives. So really great event, great wine. Even if you don't want to bid on some of the big prizes, just come and enjoy the people that are around, enjoy tasting great wines, and enjoying the event and contributing a little bit towards the cause. And I'll be there serving some wines, and I hope to see you there at that event. It should be a really fun event. They even have a room block there at Carter Creek Resort, so you can stay the night, which is what my wife and I plan to do on Saturday evening. So come out and stay at Carter Creek. Enjoy a great weekend with the Texas Wine Auction. That's texaswineauction.com. All right. In this particular episode, I was able to venture into the Central Texas area, right up straight I-35 from Austin to a little town called Belton, Texas, which is a sister city of Temple, Texas. And I got to visit a really cool location there called BeeMaRosa Vineyard and Winery. Now, this particular winery is situated right off the busy I-35 corridor, kind of right across I-35 from the Bell County Exposition Center. And it's this little oasis that's kind of nestled in with all this great viticulture and gardens just right off the highway. When I went, I was able to sit down with one of the owners, Sharon, and their tasting room manager, Chris, and we got to talk all about their miracle first harvest that they had way back in 2022 after they planted their vineyard. We talked a little bit about their philosophy on wine education in the tasting room and why that's so important to the customers coming in. And then we also talked about a hidden little secret of chilling your reds and why they chill their reds in their tasting room when you go to visit. And I was able to actually pick up a special bottle while I was there. I'll tell you more about that later in the episode, but it really represents the spirit of their winemaking philosophy, of the vineyard there, and of what they're trying to accomplish of this cute little oasis right in the heart of that I-35 corridor. Now, a few things about this particular winery. They actually opened their tasting room in 2023, but they planted their vineyard back in 2021. They took a property that was already there, planted the vineyard, and took a house that was there and renovated it to become their tasting room. The vineyard itself is planted to 4 specific varietals. They're red varietals. And in that vineyard, they have Petite Sirah, Cabernet Sauvignon, Tempranillo, and Tannat. And as I mentioned a moment ago, this is literally right off of I-35. But when you're in that vineyard and you're out in the garden space in the back area behind the house of the tasting room, it feels like you're in this oasis. You're just right off the highway, the busy highway, but you're in this beautiful garden, this beautiful vineyard, and sipping on some great wine. And you'll hear about in the interview, they actually had what they call a miracle harvest during their very first leaf of those vines after they were planted. They had more fruit come up from those vines and they knew what to do with. This is kind of unheard typically in the wine vineyard industry. And they had to figure out what to do with all these grapes, selling them to other people, giving some away. It was a really cool experience. And they knew that was kind of their sign that they were doing the right thing here. They also believe, as I said a moment ago, in chilling their red wines. So a lot of places you might go into as a winery, they'll serve their reds at room temperature. They chill their wines here at BeeMaRosa, and they serve them at cellar temperature, which should be around 58 to 64 degrees. And it really allows a different experience and flavor profile of the wine, and you get to see the wine change as it opens up. As the wine warms up in your glass as you're drinking, you're going to see more phenolics come out and get a greater experience of that wine. And it's really good in that Texas heat that we experience here. And when you go into their tasting room and have that experience there, Chris and Sharon really believe in the importance of educating their customers. So Sharon has some experience with her daughters living up in the Oregon and Washington area and with some vineyards and wineries there. Chris himself has worked at wineries, and he's been from the California area and is familiar with wineries and grapes there. So they have a great wealth of background experience that they love to bring to that tasting experience and share a little bit about what you're tasting, and hopefully you learn something along the way. I think Chris in the interview called it funjucation. And right now, they are leading the way. This is the only winery in Belton, Texas. So it gives you a great stop. And like I said, right off the highway, if you're traveling north or south on I-35, headed north up to the DFW area or headed south to Austin, San Antonio, it's a great little stopover right there in Belton to enjoy some great wine on your journey. And Sharon is really happy to keep this as a smaller operation, a kind of smaller winery. They want it to be this boutique feel, like some of the wineries she visited in Oregon and Washington, where it was an intimate experience where you could sit down and enjoy some time with the owners and really get to feel for the winery and their winemaking. And I mentioned that this is kind of an oasis right off I-35. So Sharon is a lover of roses. So in addition to this vineyard, they have a great little open back area with a patio. They have seating areas. It's almost like a park. There's rose bushes planted all over. You feel like you're walking through a beautiful, gorgeous rose garden, rose park, all the way back towards the vineyard, where they do like to hold events. They've had weddings there, things like that. Really beautiful outdoor property. All right, well, enough from me. Let's hear it straight from Sharon Beeram and Chris Joyce. So let's go to that interview now.
Howdy, Vine Trippers. Welcome to this episode. I'm here at BeeMaRosa Winery, and I'm accompanied here by Sharon and Chris today. And I look forward to hearing from them a little bit about this location, filling you in on all the fun details so that you can get in the car and head this way and taste some of the great wines here at BeeMaRosa. So let's go ahead and head to them. So I'll start with the two of you, and I'll let you guys kind of determine the order you'd like to go in. Who wants to go first? I'm not going to pick on you, but I'd like to know a little bit about some of your wine journey. What got you into this crazy wine business?
Well, we are two daughters. One live in Oregon, one live in Washington State, which, as you know, it's those are in the top 5. I think it's number 2 and number 3. California is then Oregon, then Washington, then upstate New York, and Texas is number 5. So every time we visit these girls, they would take us to vineyards.
Okay.
And they would take us to the bigger ones, the medium size, and the smaller ones. And we like the smaller, cozy, intimate vineyards where we get a chance to speak with the owners, and we follow them around and see what they have. And we had this property here, and it was just kind of sitting there for some time. So we decided we need to clean it up and do something, as taxes only going one direction. So that was in a spark.
Right.
So we decided to plant grapes.
Okay.
Right now.
Here in Belton, Texas.
Here in Belton, Texas.
Okay. And just like a block off I-35.
Just off 35. And I understand this is the first and only one right now in mountains.
Okay.
With a vineyard.
Right. Okay. And how big is that vineyard?
The vineyard is about 2 acres worth of land, but it's condensed in about 1.5 acres.
Okay.
Because since we do a harvesting and stuff without machinery, we're able to make the rows a little bit smaller, closer together. So we have 1,200 plants up there.
Okay. Nice. You wouldn't even know driving down 35. They're right over here. There's this beautiful little vineyard you can escape to. But Chris, what about you? Where's your wine journey led you?
Well, when I was 14 years of age, my family up and moved from Long Island, New York to San Diego, California. Oh, wow. So California being a huge wine state. I didn't really get into wines until I was in my 20s, really. And then I started exploring the various regions in California.
Okay.
A little bit of Napa, a little bit of Sonoma, but I have to tell you, I really fell in love with Santa Ynez Valley, Solvang, Los Olivos, and Paso Robles. and Temecula, a little bit in Temecula as well. Yeah.
Central Coast area.
Yeah. I was really fortunate to travel to Europe with a then relationship I was in, and got to go to France, got to go to Italy, and explore some of the wines there. So I gradually learned what types of wines I really like, and got a real passion for it. I never really saw myself in the industry until I moved to Texas in 2015. One job fell through, and so I just did a search for wine jobs.
Yeah.
And I found a wine tour guide job.
Okay.
And I got to listen to Texas winery owners and winemakers talk every Saturday. A lot of times it would be the same owner saying the same things every Saturday. So really it would start to sink in.
Yeah.
And then when a winery opened up in Georgetown, I jumped at the opportunity to join the original staff at Barron's Creek Vineyards. Learned a lot there learned a lot from the certified sommelier.
Okay.
At Barron's Creek.
Yeah. So it really led you through the world to taste all these different great wines.
Yes.
To our local area of Georgetown.
Yes, yeah. And fortunately, Sharon and Ray were opening up a business here, and it just dovetailed very, very nicely with my gradual creep north from Georgia. And having an opportunity to be a tasting room manager, finally, I thought it was something I really wanted to grasp.
Yeah. Nice. And so that brought you here to BeeMaRosa. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Well, let's talk about then the history a little bit of BeeMaRosa here. So how did it get started? I know you touched on that a little bit. You had this property here. But what just made you decide, okay, we want to get this really going? What was the process of that? When did it open?
It was open in 23. So this will be the beginning of our fourth year.
Okay.
The winery. But the plants were canted in 21.
Okay.
April of 21.
Right.
And, as I told you before, there are 1,200 plants, but there are 4 varieties.
Yeah.
We do have Petite Sirah.
Okay.
We have Hab. We have Tempranillo, and we have Tannat.
Okay.
And the way that this work is we have to order the plants like 1 year out. And these are from certified nurseries in California. And the plants that you order are not necessarily the ones you will get.
Okay.
Because it depends on the bigger vineyards that they will get the rootstock first.
Right.
So we had requested like even amount, but instead what we got is a lot of Caz, then Petite Sirah, and then Tempranillo and Tannat. We only
Yeah.
like 4 rows.
Okay. So it's not necessarily equal plantings of each. You got more variety there.
Exactly. And my favorite, of course, is the Petite Sirah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because I thought the Petite Sirah would be like little Syrah because petite means small. Realize it's an entirely different thing.
Yeah.
And it does very well for some reason in our soil because we have to do the sampling of the soil, which we send off the Texas A&M. They analyzed it, and then they send back, and they'll tell us like what are the deficiencies, whether it be nitrogen, potassium, or magnesium, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then we can adjust the soil accordingly. So when the plants came in, we had to go to Waiter to pick them up because, they ship them and you don't want them to stay, too long. So when we picked them up, we had maybe about 12 to 18 inches at the top, but then we had like about 2 to 3 foot of roots.
Yeah.
And they tell you that the root shouldn't be coiled. So that meant they had to drill into the ground like 3 feet deep. And our soil out here is very rocky. So you could see, those muscles shake it, as they dug the hole to put them in. But whatever it was that we did, he seemed to be very happy. The plants are looking very healthy. The nursery did tell us that they only replace if we lose like 10% of the plants.
I think we lost maybe about 12,
Okay.
50 total, 1,200
Yeah.
tons.
Okay.
So I think that was a great success.
Right. 1% or so. So that's a really good statistic.
Yeah, they're doing very well out there. And, even though I said like the cab is my favorite, the Petite Sirah is my favorite. The cab, actually, if you look at the trunk of them, those are bigger. And they do yield a good crop.
Okay. Yeah, we're in fifth leaf now, I guess, for those vines. So really getting to their full production. You have some estate wines now coming from those vineyards?
Yes. Last year, we got close to 10 tons of grapes.
Wow.
The reason why we have to approximate the amount that we got was because 7 tons we gave to the winemaker to make our wines. Then we shared some with other winery. And then we just like called in whoever wants some grape, some wine grapes, come and help yourself. And you go jealous from it. And it's just, it was a lot. But we had to take the fruit off the vines because we wanted the vines to store their energy and not, hold on to these screws.
Yeah.
Because it had to go through the winter. So you wanted to have that energy. So we didn't know, this is Texas, we don't know what kind of winter we would have. And so we got them off and the vines did well throughout the winter.
What about, I know recently by the time this comes out, we know that this has happened, the St. Patrick's Day freeze that just happened. Did your vines, I know a lot of vines are in bud break right now, so did it?
Yes. Actually, I did do a walkthrough yesterday, and I noticed there were a couple of vines that looked like it got a little kind of brown. But overall, I would say 98% of them were making good. Even like the 2% that I see little brown leaf, I don't think those are major.
Yeah.
They're just like green ones.
So hopefully it didn't have an impact on your production. That'll be good. Because I know some wineries have really suffered from that.
And then again, it depends on the variety. Because some varietal are like curly bluers. So some are just breaking the buds, whereas some already have like nice branches with Cabernet grapes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wonder if also the proximity to I-35 right here, because it absorbs the heat. So being so close might help to keep it a little warmer. So
that is a possibility because I think last year also some of the wineries had a freeze as well, which damaged some of their lands. And last year we had no damage.
we didn't have anything ever. Interesting. So the location in and of itself might be a boon for that kind of a day for you.
Yes. And one of which is we like it.
So you opened the tasting room in 2023, I think is what you said there. And so tell me about the name, BeeMaRosa.
So I was toying around with our names.
Okay.
And our last name is Beeram. So there goes the bee.
Right.
And my husband's first name is Madhava. So I had to give him a little bit of it. So I gave him the M-A, all right. And then my middle name is Rosalie. So there goes the Rosa. BeeMaRosa.
So you got the beginning of your last name, and then you got something for your husband's name and something for your name in there.
Yeah, because I do the work.
It's the whole family puzzle coming together. I love that.
So, and then we thought it kind of sound a little catchy.
Yeah.
We went for it.
Different. I like that. Well, tell me a little bit about some of the fruit. And I know we talked just a minute ago about your estate fruit, but I'm sure for a few years there, while you were waiting for the vines to grow, you were having to source fruit elsewhere. I don't know if you still do that, but where do you get some of your fruit from besides your estate?
So they got a miracle harvest year in 2022.
Okay.
A 1 year after planting.
Wow.
Pretty unheard of.
Two kinds of grapes.
Whoa, 1 year. Birds help themselves to 1 ton. It's a great so since then, they've actually learned how to ward off some birds, right? And so our winemaker nobody was more shocked than the winemaker, apparently. Jim was our first winemaker out of Salado.
Okay.
And she made some very nice single varietal wines. The Petite Sirah, the Cab, the Tempranillo, and the Tannat.
Wow.
And they didn't get here until a month after we opened the doors, too. So our clientele was very patient.
Okay.
First month and a half.
Yeah.
We had a Moscato with our label line.
So there you go.
Yeah. So she made some wonderful wines that lasted us for quite some time. But fortunately, Sharon already made a relationship with another winemaker. Did make wines for us from grapes grown in the high plains of Texas.
Okay.
Yes. Obviously, as a business, you can't just rely on your vineyard. And sadly, the 2023 harvest did not quite work out very well. So it was good that we made a relationship with another winemaker.
Yeah.
So he was able to provide us with actually our signature wines.
Oh, really?
The same exact varietals from grapes grown elsewhere.
Nice.
And a fair amount of it too. And it was able to replenish that stock.
Yeah.
So it kept us going a lot.
Yeah.
We also have a license to sell other people's wines. So we do carry those, but we have very much focused on our own product.
Okay, right.
Our 2024 wines just got here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so Valley Mills Vineyard made those.
Okay. Yeah.
And he did not use our Tempranillo and our Tannat,
Okay.
but he did use our Petite
We
Sirah.
actually do.
We do.
Because the wines, when they make the wines, you're allowed to use up to 90% of a single variety. And then the additional 10%, which is not usually written on the bottle per se, that goes into it.
Oh, so that, yeah, there was some usage. It's
Okay.
And that's not.
Gotcha.
For the most part, we now have, for the 2024 line of wines, a Petite Sirah, the beautiful Petite Sirah that you love so much here. But the winemaker decided to blend some Grenache
Okay.
and Rivert into it.
Okay.
And it's exquisite.
Yeah.
It's when it's still young in the bottle. So that wine is called Passion.
Yeah.
And it is 2/3 our Belton Petite Sirah.
Wow, that's cool.
With our 2024 cab, apparently the sugar was way too high. The fruit sugar with rents were very, very high.
Yeah.
And so the winemaker broke it to them gently and said, I can't make a dry wine out of your cab this year.
We had a sweet can.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a different variety.
Right. And there's so many people that come to wineries with different palates. And so it's always good to have different offerings, sweet wines, dry wines, reds, white, rosé, the whole mix of things for all those palates.
Yeah.
So that's great. Yeah. And then, so you got, what else do you, we've talked all reds here. Do you have any whites? You mentioned a Moscato a minute ago as well.
Yeah. We phased out on our Moscato, but Dan, our second winemaker, was able to make us a peach Moscato, cool, sweet Mona.
Okay.
That is like our most popular wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just the right level of sweetness. That overly sweet. So it does appeal to people who like really sweet wine, but also the people who dabble a little bit on the sweet side, which is very, very nice.
Yeah.
He also made us a sweet red, called Sweet Winnie. He made us a Viognier. Oh, you're right. It's almost like every Texas winery has a Viognier. We just recently sold out of that, but he was nice enough to provide us with a Vermentino. Oh, two white wines beating the letter V. Pop quiz, a third from Italy is called Viticulture. Yes. But we got the other Italian grape, basically Vermentino, which grows very well in Texas, along with Trebbiano. And it sells very well here. It goes over. People love the taste of it, and so we do have our own whites and our own sweets in addition to those signature reds.
Okay. So a good, nice little palette, different things for us, whatever you're.
Try to cater for the public.
Yeah.
Because street travel, they have different palates, as Chris said, and they travel to a country and they taste something, and then they come back and they want to kind of find the equivalent of our Texas.
Sure. Yeah.
That tastes similar.
Our 2025 harvest was fantastic, as you illustrated.
Yeah.
And Dan, the second winemaker that we had, he's finally our estate winemaker.
Oh, okay.
He's the one who hauled off 7 tons of grapes. He said, no more. I don't want any more, please.
This is all okay.
He had to come twice in order to
Get it all.
get it on.
Those, yeah. So he's making those wines speak.
Yeah.
2025 wines will be here shortly.
Nice. Well, I know with Petite Sirah, that grape can be a little finicky sometimes. It sometimes needs to age for a little bit at a time. Do you find that yours is that way, or are they drinkable very young?
It appears that it's drinkable young.
Yeah.
But finicky, what I would say, even in the brewing process, because those grapes are so tightly clustered together. Yes, they're very tight clusters. They're big clusters, big bunches, but tightly clustered. So we always fear that if we get ray, and the water goes into it, then we can get fungus or
Right.
rebuild. So finicky in that sense, but somehow our Petite Sirah had so far the very good glass.
It's what you see photos of the Petite Sirah. They're just beautiful. Yeah. It's the most resilient of the 4 grapes out there.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about the tasting room for just a few minutes. So, what are your thoughts here? Do you have seating out back? You haven't had a chance to really walk around and look at the place so far yet. We're going to do that in a few minutes. But tell me a little bit about what you have for people who come into the tasting room here.
Well, we have 2 rooms here. One is a little informal, so you have the table and chairs, but they can actually sit there and have a good view out through the window.
Okay.
The other room is such a more like for a conference, where it has a TV inside there, and you can have like low meetings, stuff. Then there's a patio out there, and that's a big patio. It's 1,300 square feet.
Wow.
And then we have a wine lounge, which is close to 1,300 square feet as well.
Okay.
So in the back, there's a lot of space.
Yeah.
A lot of green space and a lot of areas, a lot of gardens. I love roses. So you're going to see roses everywhere.
Beautiful. And I guess do you open those up for people that want to do meetings here, things like that?
Yes, we do. And events. We've had some weddings.
Okay.
We have had the birthday parties, showers, bridal and baby showers, and had some limited promotional parties as well.
Oh yeah, being close to Fort Hood. Yeah, not super far away. What do you think about that? Baby showers, anniversaries, birthdays, reunions, all manner of things.
Yeah.
Our wine lounge is a customer's base. They could have turned it into a production facility, but that would cost a ton of money.
Right.
Plus, it's really, really come in handy at the customer stays.
Okay.
It's air conditioned, it's insulated. It's got garage doors in case we want to open them up on a nice day. Yeah, 75 degrees out. It becomes this indoor-outdoor pilot. Why it's so spot.
Mixed hybrid spot.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, I take it for production, your winemaker is you do custom craft, someone's doing that for you.
Yes.
So you don't have to worry about having barrel rooms and all that kind of fun stuff, storage space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do y'all do any kind of events here at the winery itself that you put on?
We do, yeah. We do music bingo.
Okay.
Every last Sunday of the month.
All right.
Every Tuesday, customers are invited in to create crafts out of, the bottles and wine accessories. And we've got an employee here who is wonderful at crafts, and she's able to run that. We do bunko once a month.
Okay.
So we just started doing that. And it's very popular so far.
Yeah.
Similar.
Yeah.
And then we have things like dinners. We've had like Valentine's dinner. We've had Mother's Day dinner. We've had Big Eclipse dinner.
Okay, yeah.
We just had the St. Patrick's Day where she did like the little leprechaun was going around and hiding this bottle, the rainbow one and the golden, the pot of gold. This was the bottle of gold. And she literally did that. She painted it gold.
Oh, wow.
And there were prizes that, for people that found the bottle or found shamrock or she really made it a great day. Cool. We tried different things like that.
Okay. Well, what would you say is especially planting a vineyard here in Belton, Texas, right off of I-35, what would you say is kind of the single biggest challenge that you have faced with the vineyard itself and growing grapes here and everything in this particular location?
We were fortunate that we have a well that was on the property when we bought it. And the vines are actually watered with the well water.
Okay. So irrigation is great.
So irrigation is good. Yeah. And my husband went a little bit high-tech there where he had even the nutrients is fed to each vine through the irrigation system.
Nice. So then knowing kind of what your soil needs, it allows you to kind of supplement that directly through the irrigation. Wow, that's really, really interesting. And you mentioned a moment ago the birds, so I guess you're able to put up netting and all of that now as well? Or what is your solution?
We have what they call a bird guard.
Okay.
out there. And what it is something that I think it was developed in Oregon, where it's a computer chip.
Okay.
And they did request that we let them know the 5 most common birds that we have. And they create this sound that sound like predators to those individual birds. And I think that has helped somewhat, but I think our birds are very smart, and some of them actually make their nests right inside the vines. So they don't have to go too far or don't have to work too hard to get their meals.
But at least if
But it's only like 10%
Yeah.
for me lose, and that's okay, for
Yeah.
nature.
who knows what it would be? Well, you know what it would be if you use a half the acreage or the tonnage if you didn't have that there. So at least it's getting really, hopefully, a many of them.
And we only turn that on when the grapes are very close to harvest.
Yeah.
The rest of time it's turned off.
Yeah.
You also have little metallic things that they've attached to the vines, which ward off the birds as well.
Yeah.
Little metallic.
Kind of just makes them
Yeah.
kind of like shoo away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. It's really cool. Is there a varietal that you have thought about? Okay, we like our vineyard here as is, but we'd always want to plant this varietal. Have you ever thought about expanding that or adding other things in?
At this point, we'd have the space. And
Yeah.
we still don't know what we'll do in the future because there's a lot of space back there. But for now, we thought we'll just focus on these and try to get these up so we can get good wine from them.
Yeah. Gotcha. If someone does want to have a wedding here, he'll want a whole vineyard to go right up to the seating area. There'll be some room for somebody who might want to have a ceremony. Yeah. Expanding it is a bit of a question mark.
Well, with the amount of tonnage you're getting off the vineyard as well, it's satisfying your needs
Exactly.
and even more. So adding in more, what would you do with that? So
Exactly.
seems like for your size, it's a good
And as
fit.
you get outside and walk around, you'll see there's spaces per set for like the pitched tent or, whatever they need for the wedding. And what are those inflatables for birthdays and stuff like that.
So you got room to work with out there. And it's manageable, I would think, because the more you add on acreage-wise, the more work you get into that. So
Exactly. And we're family friendly. Okay. So we like to have space where the kids can run around.
yeah.
We do have these 2 gigs in the frontier, which are usually closed.
Okay.
So there's nowhere for the kids to go except through the front door.
Yeah.
And somebody will redirect them back there. So the parents can enjoy a glass of wine while the kids run around and have fun.
Yeah. Enjoy the space a little bit.
And we have games for the kids. So, we have the cornhole, we have the big blocks, we have Jenga.
Yeah.
We have a lot of board games as well.
Okay.
So we had enough to keep kids happy and parents happy.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what does a tasting look like when somebody comes in to BeeMaRosa and they want to do a tasting. They've never been here before. So what does a tasting typically look like? How many wines do you typically provide? Does the customer choose their wines? Do you pick the wines? How much does it cost? Things like that. Just the nuts and bolts.
We usually provide them with a choice of 15 or so wines. Basically, they customize their tasting.
Okay.
It's 5 1-ounce pours for $15.
Okay.
And we've done a lot of them here. We've done 6,700 tastings since we opened the doors. So that's a lot of tastings, and it is the experience that people have the most fun with here.
Yeah.
The great thing is they can do a tasting and then they can get a glass of wine and go outside and enjoy the property.
Yeah.
Or get a bottle or get a lot of that lately. A lot of people share in a bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will do whites followed by light-bodied reds, more full-bodied reds, and into sweet wines. Sure. We do have 5 in each of those categories, so that does satisfy most people who come in.
And you can kind of guide them. If somebody doesn't really know, you can kind of guide them as to what to choose based on their palate.
Yeah. And what I like to do, what I sort of encourage the rest of the staff to do, is kind of what I call fun-jucation.
Okay.
We have a fun tasting, but I've learned so much over the years that it behooves us, and it also makes it a very positive experience for the customer themselves to learn a bit while they're here. And if you hear them say, I never knew that about that grape, or I always thought this kind of wine was going to be way too tannic.
Yeah.
But actually it's very medium body. If you talk about the difference between white wines and red wines and how rosés come to be and how bubbly comes to be, and it next thing you know, we're standing at the bar and 20 minutes have gone by and they've learned so much and tasted such good wine.
While they're sipping on some great wine, same kind. Well, what are your operating hours for somebody to come in for a tasting?
We are Monday through Saturday, 12 to 8.
Okay.
We are open later than most places around here. So you accommodate those folks who maybe want to come after work.
Okay.
Sundays we're open from 12 to 7.
Okay.
And if we have special function, someone want to book the place going again, usually we try to accommodate again.
You talked about being family friendly a moment ago. What about pet friendly? If somebody wants to bring their dogs, their cats, their pet lizards?
Maybe I would like to pet you. Currently, we don't have cats.
Okay.
We don't allow for sure now. I don't know in the future. We may not. Some of the challenges are, pets will have animal instinct. And since we have kids running around, it's a liability.
Sure.
But some people have allergies.
Yeah.
For example, my son-in-law is allergic to dogs. My daughter is allergic to cats.
Oh, no.
So I know what the allergy should be in a situation.
But you want to be sensitive to that.
I want to be sensitive. And we're here with the health industry. So, I'm a nurse, a physician. My husband's a physician. So we tend to lean a little bit more towards the health
Yeah.
a bit as well.
So just service animals and things like that.
Service animal, of course.
Gotcha. What about food options? Do you provide any kind of food options, or can customers bring their own food when they come? Both? Okay.
Yeah, we serve a really nice cheese and charcuterie platter.
Okay.
We offer some soup.
Okay.
We have a roe paninis. Have a cheese panini, or you can have some with meat.
All right.
We just started serving flatbread pizza.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What about group sizes? Do you have any maximum group sizes when people want to come?
Because we're open space, it all depends. Do they want to be indoors or they want to be outside? We hadn't come across one that we were not able to accommodate yet.
Okay.
So I would say we were fairly open on the size.
Yeah.
Well, we did actually recently encounter somebody who wanted to bring 300 people here.
Wow.
And so that's a little... and they wanted it to be an indoor space.
Oh, okay.
That's a little challenge.
Yeah, right?
A wine lounge is very comfortable with 35, 40, maybe 50 people.
Okay.
So I think we can go up to about 80 to 100 people.
Okay.
Inside, between the patio and the wine lounge.
Right.
We have rented the space individually, the wine lounge by itself, the patio by itself, or even the rooms by themselves, or combination.
Okay.
And we had requests where they want the entire property for a wedding that's coming up next month.
Okay.
So it's indoor, outside. We had no limitation.
Perfect.
Because it's almost 6 acres.
Yeah. Lots of room. So
Lots of room.
what about reservations? Do people need to make reservations? Are you open to walk-ins?
So they open to walk-ins.
Okay.
Reservations only for really large parties because I had a heads up
Sure.
see how many people.
Right.
But of course, if it's a special occasion, you're going to want to rent a space, split that. Absolutely, I'm out.
And also that way, having the reservation, it prepares us that we have enough staff
Okay, yes.
so we can get excellent.
Yes. Yeah. What about your busier and slower times? What's the best time to come visit here at BeeMaRosa, do you think?
Well, if you want a lot of people with you, if your good experience is, I like a nice crowded tasting room.
Yeah.
Saturdays,
Okay.
3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Here, it gets very jovial in here, very fried, and people have a lot of fun.
Okay.
A little slower during the week, but
Right.
we have been picking up during the week. The nicer the weather is, the more people wander in here. Sure. Plus, we're on the I-35 corridor, so a lot of folks just passing through.
Yeah.
Will come. We're on our way to San Antonio, or we're on our way to Dallas.
Yeah.
And we were looking for wineries in the area. And fortunately, we're the stagecoach community of wineries here.
Yeah.
from like Salado up to the Waco area. It was a fair no.
Yeah. Do you offer a wine club?
Yes.
Okay. Can tell me the details on that.
Sure. We have just one level in terms of the amount of bottles that we offer.
Okay.
Allocations. So it's 3 bottles, 4 times a year.
Okay.
We do February, we do May, September, and November. Those are your pickup times.
Okay.
Our wine club members get 15% off each bottle price.
Okay.
That's 50% off the glass, 50% off the food, 15% off rental of the property as well. So if you want to rent the wine lounge, you get 15% off that.
Okay.
Plus, you get complimentary tastings over the course of the year. Most people choose to have their complimentary tastings during our wine club pickup event that we had.
Right.
Shortly after we process the allocation, we'll have a little event.
Okay.
On a Sunday in our wine lounge, exclusive.
Make it a party.
We make it party.
Yeah, there you go.
Sharon makes some food, and we do a tasting, and everybody has a great time getting some.
Yeah. Well, what about distribution? So if and I know as a smaller boutique style winery, you probably do major distribution that way. But let's say that some of my viewers would love to come taste your wine, but they live in Dallas or they live in a place they can't easily get here very quickly. Do you sell on your website or things like that? How can people taste your wines if they can't get here?
We haven't reached that stage yet, but would be something we may consider.
Okay. So definitely right now, it's you got to come here to taste those great wines. It's a destination-focused winery.
Or if we're appearing at a Texas Wino Fest near you, it's quite possible that you'd be able to purchase at least 4 of our wines from those events.
So some of those like industry events or things are where wine events. Yeah. Okay, cool. So there are some different options for people to get those wines. Let's think about the future for just a second. So do you have any plans for future growth? And you kind of touched on that with the possibility of selling online maybe down the road. But do you have plans to do other kinds of things or future growth plans here?
You see, when this thing started, it's supposed to be my cousin's hobby.
Okay.
And at that time, I thought, retirement was going to be down, pretty close,
Yeah.
a year or so. And what I've been hearing is that the retirement period is going further and further. So it's his project. So I'm hoping when he retires,
Yeah.
really retires, that he will grow the business.
Okay. So maybe down the road a little bit, ideas to build a little further as he has more time to focus on that.
Exactly.
Well, there are a lot of great places here in Texas for people to go drink amazing Texas wine. I've really enjoyed hearing about your vineyard here. I'm looking forward to tasting some of those wines myself in just a moment. But what would you say is really kind of your uniqueness? What sets you apart? What would make my viewers say, I really want to get there and check out BeeMaRosa as soon as I can?
I would think we offer excellent customer service.
Okay.
And our customers are able to get their glass, their bottles. They can walk around the property. They can, if they have questions, we can address those questions, concerns, ideas. It's a garden environment. So, it's like going to a combination of the vineyard, a winery, and a garden.
Okay. Little Oasis.
Like three together, yes. And we're convenient to I-35. It was also a factor people are traveling.
Well, we chill our red wines here. Blue wine should be served 58 to 64 degrees. Yeah. When they say drink red wine at room temperature, they're not talking about the room you happen to be in Central Texas in the middle of summertime.
For sure.
I don't know of too many. I could, on my one hand, I could count the wineries that chill their reds. So that's a unique experience. Most people come in and they say, oh, thank goodness you chill your red. Then they're like a secret. They say, I chill mine at home too. Like it's some secret that they have to keep. Not 38 degrees out of your kitchen for
Right.
So that is very unique to us. Unfortunately, Sharon and Ray were very open. So a lot of the ideas that I had in regards to preserving the wines, the way that winemakers preserve them overnight, by the way, as well as the temperature that wine should be.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, I would say the educational aspect that you will get here, you do not get most places.
Okay.
But at the place where I started my wine serving, they don't do that anymore. I took that away from there and brought it here to be a unique experience to learn about things maybe you've never known before about wines. And so that combination of the environment that she and Reddy have created here, plus the experience you get in our tasting room, I gotta say, it's the most unique in the area, really.
Ultimately, Sharon and Chris have crafted this incredible wine destination where the educational experience and the personal connection there with the owners is just as distinctive as the vineyard itself. Now, make sure you check out their website before you go to visit them. It's www.BeeMaRosa.com. And on their website, you're going to find a place to book your next tasting and to go check it out yourself, or look at their calendar of all the community events that they've got going on. Everything from music bingo to bunko nights to their popular Petals and Pints workshop. You can also browse their exclusive collection of their estate wines, some of their other wines that they have offered, some of their jellies that they made from all that extra fruit that they had, and even find information on how you can rent their outdoor space or those conference rooms, things like that for your own private events. And don't forget, when you go to see them, make sure you tell them you heard about them on this podcast, Texas Under Vine. All right, it's about time to pack up and head on out to my next wine destination. But before I do, I promised you I'd tell you about my library bottle for this episode. And for this particular episode, I chose their BMR Passion Wine. So this is a great combination of several of their wines, and it's led by Petite Sirah. So very beautiful flavor in this wine. And what struck me most about this wine, much like the winery itself, is the intentionality behind it. In a region where people usually expect heavy, room temperature reds, this bottle shows how elegant and refreshing a Texas red can be when handled with the care and love they've given at this winery and served at the right temperature. You need to check this one out when you go, and make sure to get yourself a bottle of it when you go to visit them. All right, before I go, I want to invite you to join our growing community of vine trippers on my Patreon website. You can go to the Texas Under Vine website, go up to the top, look for the Become a Patron button, and it will take you to that website where you get a lot of behind the scenes and extra stuff that you don't get by just listening or watching this podcast on YouTube. And your support means a lot. For just a few dollars a month, you're able to help me continue on traveling to all of these great locations, bringing you the stories from these winemakers and behind the labels, and attending these fun events to bring to you so that you can share that with others that love Texas wine and go experience these places for yourself. Above all, make sure you're visiting these locations that I'm bringing to you. They want your business and you want to be there, believe me. And for those of you watching this podcast on my YouTube channel, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and go down below and leave me a comment. Do you chill your red wines at home, especially in this Texas heat, or are you a room temperature purist? Let me know in the comments. And again, a huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon who help keep this journey through the Texas vines moving forward. And with that, my time is up. So don't forget, subscribe to the podcast and follow my socials to be notified anytime a new episode is released. And until then, happy trails and bottoms up, y'all. Thanks for listening to Texas Under Vine. We strive to provide you with the best information about wine businesses all over Texas. Be sure to check out our website at texasundervine.com and follow us on our socials at Texas Under Vine to stay up on all the upcoming episodes. Please email us with any suggestions or feedback. Also, contact us if you're interested in donating, sponsoring, or advertising on the podcast, just to help us cover our expenses and bring even more great info to you in future episodes. Above all, travel safely, and most especially, drink responsibly. Howdy, Vine Trippers. Before we go, I wanted to direct you to my website, www.texasundervine, because there you're going to find a whole host of things. Besides access to the audio versions and the video versions of the podcast, you can also get those on any podcast provider, and then the video on YouTube. But there you're going to find a couple of things. Did you know that I actually sold some Texas Under Vine merchandise? I only have a handful of items available, about 5 different things, but they are up on my store. So if you go to the website, texasundervine.com, and go to the top, you're going to see a link for the merchandise store, and there you can get your own Texas Under Vine swag to proudly show all of your friends that you support the Texas wine industry, and you can get them started on and hooked on the podcast as well, so they can go visit even more of these great wine destinations. But in addition to the store, I also have a Patreon for my subscribers, people that support this show. I do this all out of a work of love from my heart. I do not make any money on this podcast. I'm actually in the red because I support it all out of my own pocket as a teacher. And it's mainly because I love wine and I love the Texas wine industry. So if you're willing to help me do that and you'd like to see more of these great episodes, hear more from these amazing winemakers, learn more about some fun destinations for you to go and visit on your own, I would appreciate if you would be willing to subscribe to my Patreon. So at the top of my website page, again, you'll find a Become a Patron link. And there you can get all the information about becoming a subscriber to the podcast here as a Patreon subscriber. It only costs a few dollars a month if you're willing to commit that. And there are various levels that you can commit to that each give you behind the scenes benefits that you don't get. And I do have some new things in the pipeline coming down soon. So you want to get on that sooner than later. But right now you can get things like behind the scenes photos at different wineries. You can get things like at one level, you'll get a video walkthrough of the winery. So for every episode, I will post a video walkthrough of me taking you through the winery itself so you can see what it's like before you go. And then at one level, you can even find out before everyone else where I'm headed the next week on the show as it comes out. So you'll know before everyone else. You get a sneak peek. So there's just different levels of benefits and they all cost a different amount. And as you subscribe, you become the heart of this podcast. You really are what helps me succeed. You are my community and my people. And thank you so much for those that do subscribe. So if you're interested in joining Patreon, check the Become a Patron link at the top of the website. So again, the website is www.texasundervine.com. You can also go to all of my socials. I'm at Texas Undervine on almost all the social accounts. And check it out and consider sponsoring the podcast and maybe even buying some of that really cool swag on the merchandise store. Happy trails and bottoms up, fine trippers.